Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What does sensorality stabilize? So we continue on with our linguistics, working out the logical, physical implications. Again, language is not complicated. The rock over there is not trying to complicate you or confuse you. The black hole over there is not trying to complicate or confuse you. We're just trying to make our linguistics, our description of the world, our language, match reality. What is sensation? What is a sensor? What is sensorality? So we continue on. Maximum limits infinity. Minimum limits reduction. So we have this fundamental minimum. Physically, we can't reduce things past two properties, charge and mass. Or I guess, if you can reduce mass to the dynamic of charge, is that a physical reduction? But those are our two inherent fundamental principles or properties, charge and mass. Well, actually, charge and spin, really. But yeah, charge and spin would be the fundamental properties, mass being emergent. And then maximum infinity, again, we have this bound, the speed of light. And so infinity, again, is well-defined conceptually. It's all of the thing, it's the awareness that the observable universe is finite. That manifests mathematically, but things are always growing. There's always more things out there. And so we have a limit to that physical reality that we have a conceptualization of mathematically. It's a maximum. The speed of light is the fastest any information can travel to us, or to any point in space. Boundaries are complete, bounding completes. We're looking to complete sensorality by exhausting the linguistics, sensorality with a C. What is a sensor? C-E-N-S-E-R. Right? What is the theme of mathematics? For whatever reason, we have this iteration of the letter E, the fifth element of the English alphabet. And so the numeric limits will be apparent, they are apparent, because they're derivative from all of the conceptual logical stuff. And so we are looking for the completion of sensorality. The overall derivation process will not stop. But sensorality is specification, right? Speciality specifies. At this point, there's no point to make a differentiation of even axioms. It's just this fundamental inversion of linguistics, specifically letters. Specifically specification, and now we have a chronological reason, right? A comes before E in the English alphabet, but we were just born into this world where here's our symbols representing these sounds, but A and D are inverses. And so to generalize, to go backwards chronologically, linguistically, we go from an E to an A. So now we have direct motivation as to why we would even do that. But sensorality is spacification. Brad, what's spacification? Right? Spacification is a specification. Literally working the A, the definite article, a specification. But really, right, spacification sounds like you're spacifying, but spacification is pacification with an S in front. This whole time language is just directly literal. Sensorality spacifies. Sensorality pacifies. Orality requires space. Sensorality is spacifality. Sensorality is specific. Going back to the E, well-defined word. Sensorality is specificality. Again, going back from the E to the A, sensorality is spacificality. Sensorality is pacification. Orality pacifies. Hey man, let's just talk it out. Pacification is peaceful. Pacification is tranquil. Tranquil, sequel, tranquilo. What is dichotomy to chronology? Right, we have this fundamental stability of two, but it's stabilized. First we had one thing that inverted to opposition, and that was the complete everythingness, and that stabilized into two, and then that thing with dichotomy then try to differentiate again. And that is the environment where we all exist. That's the proton and the electron being fundamental inverses. So there was chronology to dichotomy. Sensorality is cautomality. Polarity is dichotomy. So fundamentally, you have charge. They're in orbit of one another. That orbit is stable. So you have spin. That's the periodicity. And so charge and spin are the fundamental properties. Mass is emergent. And then when we say dichotomy, that's really a logical word, but I guess causality, that's what sensorality is. Again, we're pairing up, we're making our definitions more specific, but physically the fundamental dichotomy is polarity, positive and negative. And the last time we asked, is charge electric? But positive, negative is the fundamental, again, logical, physical words for dichotomy. What is iteration to charge? All right, is the proton an iteration of the electron? Is the electron an iteration of the proton? What came first? Or did they come first or at the same time? Right? It's a fundamental differentiation. So you have one thing separating into two, so the chronology would be the same. Or, yeah. Is charge iterated? We just asked that. Pressing is sensing. That coming directly from the linguistics, not a natural definition, but it's close. You're missing one E or something. You're missing one N. Yeah, you're missing one N. But pressing is sensing, right? Look, what do you feel right now in your body? Right? Do you feel force or do you feel pressure? Right? You feel pressure. Pressure produces sensation. Sensorality satiates sensation. Pacification satiates. Right? To satisfy is to pacify. Satiation is pacifying. Pacifying, satisfying. What is satiation to sensation? Sensation is satiation. I put a natural definition. Again, the linguistics close enough to say it's effectively a direct iteration of itself with different logical implications. Right? Sensation versus satiation produces different conceptualization. Sensating is satisfying. Sensating is sensitivity. Sensitivity is delicate. Delicate, delegate. Censorship is delegation. Sensorality legates. Right? Delegate, just taking the DE, legate. Sensorality litigates. Orality litigates. Litigation is oration. Litigation is when you go into court. Again, words are naturally defined. I'm not picking the answers. They're direct consequences of this logical progression, which is a derivation of everything in order. Again, I don't say that explicitly all of the time, but that's exactly what is occurring. How do you know it's in order? Because I've done it before, multiple times. But litigation is oration. Rationing is delegation. Sensorality is sensationing. Sensorality is sationing. Rationing, sationing. And then I have station again as well, but we've done that for sure. Sation to station, we just add the T. Dispensing is rationing. Don't forget those working definitions that we definitely produced like 2 whole weeks ago, but we're moving pretty quick in our derivation. But to dispense something is to ration something. So now we put right there, sensing is rationing. Again, just direct consequences of the linguistics. Dispensing, direct iteration of sensing with dip plus sensing, dispensing, is rationing. Sensorality rations sensation. So as clearly you can see, and you can follow along logically, we're in this direct mix of producing our next word form. Stabilizing sensorality, completing some aspect of that syllability, and then the reduction logically, all of this conceptualization will kind of go away and we'll have a very clean working definition. Sensorality is, and then the next word form in which this whole process will be reiterated through. So my rights continue to be violated is profoundly and extensively illegal. I continue to beg for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. I have no expectation that will ever change. I'm documenting as much crime as possible. And with that, I'm going hiking. See you on the next one.